Hey everyone, it's Maribel Boo with a new Pathetically Unfiltered. If you are new here to this channel, welcome. Please take a moment and consider subscribing. And if you are not new, welcome back. I have been majorly sick, people. Like family members came to visit and, with no consideration of not spreading their germs, they had my family over to wherever it is that they were staying and ended up just spreading their flu to us. So it took a while for me to recover. It's not great when you're sick and all of these things are happening and I'm feel like I'm missing out, but alas, here I am. And let's talk about Iran. This video might be a little longer. I will be using footage from the Lincoln Project because you know how much I trust Rick Wilson. He does have inside information, and he's the one that I trust the most out of a lot of the creators that I watch on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit of what is going on. And I can tell you from everything that I've seen on the news, things that Donald Trump has said, Pete Kegsbreath, it is a diabolical mess. And knowing stuff about the country Iran and the history and the relationships that they've had with Americans, it's not good. It's not good at all. So for anyone to think otherwise, like this is a good thing, it's not a good thing. Trust me when I tell you, Iran will be after us for years to come. And not only to bomb them, but to bomb a school with children on Ramadan. Mm. Y'all better be ready. Everybody who voted for this, be ready, because it's all going to be on you.
Hey folks, happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of The Elephant in the Room, where every week I try to pull back the curtain on what I think is the story behind the story, what I think is motivating behavior and shaping the politics of the moment. And today's elephant in the room is it's all falling apart. Guys, the Trump administration is in very, 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 very deep water right now. They are in a world of hurt. What's happening? Well, as you're witnessing, the war in Iran is going into phase 2, which is now not working out as they thought it would work out.
A week into the U.S.-Israel war with Iran, President Trump today demanded the Islamic Republic surrender and again said he wants a hand in choosing the nation's next leader.
The Iranian Red Crescent says more than 1,300 people have now been killed by the American and Israeli bombing. Local officials in Tehran also said another school was hit with an airstrike. The bombing of a girls' school last Saturday killed more than 150 people, mostly children.
U.S.-Israeli attacks intensified across Iran, pushing the war into a new phase as it nears the one-week mark. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry released this video showing what appears to be a school in Tehran, smashed into ash by an airstrike. The IDF launched what it called a broad-scale wave of strikes on Tehran and the western city of Kermanshah, home to multiple ballistic missile bases. And U.S. Central Command said it struck this Iranian drone carrier. It all came alongside yet another message from President Donald Trump. He ruled out anything other than Iran's, quote, unconditional surrender. But Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian today tweeted that, quote, some countries have begun mediation efforts, which should address those who underestimated Iran and ignited this conflict.
The incompetence of this administration at every level, the raw, sheer, pure, weapons-grade incompetence of Pete Hegseth, of Donald Trump, of Marco Rubio, particularly of Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner, is astounding. If you're going to be a wartime president, try to be one who doesn't suck. Because Donald Trump's wartime presidency right now is being defined by the worst planned, most poorly executed, most strategically inept campaign that any American president has launched in a long, 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 long time.
I just want to say this before we move on to the next segment that I have queued up. For Donald Trump to be tweeting because this is his way of communicating his continued stupidity of telling a country to surrender, and you want to have the authority to pick who is going to be the next supreme leader. Like, first of all, you are nobody in that country. None of us are. We do not have a right to dictate to other countries who they should have as their leader, how they should run their shit. Clearly, we are not very good at running our own shit over here. And this is an argument that I've had since the 90s, when I really became fully aware of politics, fully aware of how fucked up the United States is. We can't even clean our own backyard. And we're trying to dictate to another country how they should run their shit. And you know what? Iran is not a perfect country. I think we are very clear on how things changed back in the 70s, how a lot of people fled when it was Persia once upon a time and came here so that they wouldn't be killed for whatever reason that was. Because, you know, in other countries, if you look the wrong way, they're going to take you, they're going to question you, and you may never see the light of day ever again. So, lest anyone think that I'm sitting here defending a country that's not really treating their people well, probably not treating their women well. So, let's not pretend that everything is perfect there. But also, let's not pretend that we had no business doing what we were doing. You have to keep in mind, this regime lack critical thinking skills big time. Stephen Miller is running on hate. That's his whole goal. He hates everybody, he hates people. Meanwhile, he ain't that white, and neither is his wife. So for him to be sitting there running on his stupid ass hate, thinking that this country needs to be white, Stephen Miller can go fuck himself. Pete Kegsbreath, what was he, a fucking commentator on Fox News? And you're running the Department of Defense? You don't even know what the fuck you're doing. Seriously. Pam Bondi, who's sitting there being the pedophile protector of all of these people. This is why this is happening. Let's deflect from Epstein and create more chaos somewhere else. This is the way I look at it. This is the way a lot of people are looking at it. Because why are we protecting pedos?
As we've entered week 2, I want you to pay attention to one particular little incident that made a catastrophic act when we bombed a girls' school in Iran into a national embarrassment.
The U.S. and Israel launched the war against Iran on February 28th. Iran claimed hundreds of schoolgirls were the victims of a U.S. airstrike. Sources now tell CBS News a preliminary U.S. assessment found the United States is likely to blame, but didn't intentionally strike the school. President Trump was asked about the incident on Saturday. Listen.
Mr. President, did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 170 people?
No, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Another piece of data, 2 sources told us that Israeli forces were not operating in that area, and that's another part of the reason why investigators believe that U.S. involvement is probable. Now, as you heard the president, he's denying that, saying that based on his opinion, based on things that he's seen, it was Iran and its inaccurate munitions. Right now, that's not something that we have heard substantiated by the Pentagon yet. And all of this said, Mugo officials have cautioned us throughout that the investigation is still underway and no final determination has been made.
Okay, so the investigation is still underway, but what are investigators looking at when it comes to the attack?
Sure. So beyond some of these circumstantial realities about where the U.S. forces were operating or not, investigators are going to be looking at what kind of weapon may have been involved. There is Iranian video footage that open source visual investigations have said shows a Tomahawk missile being involved in the strike on that IRGC facility near the school.
For the first few days, we got the pushback. No, Iran did it. They bombed it. It's them. It's not us. It's them. It was an Iranian setup. It's AI. It's you saw everything from MAGA. Bellingcat had video. It was a Tomahawk missile. It was unequivocally a Tomahawk missile.
I cannot imagine sending my child to school and not ever thinking in my head, they are not coming back home. Sickening. And you know what? It happens here in this country. It's called school shootings. No one ever anticipates sending their child to school and then getting a terrifying phone call. There is a shooter, and we don't know if your child is alive or not. Who is tired of all of this? How could anyone with any inkling of intelligence, which MAGA has none from what I've seen, and think all of this is okay? You know, when Jim Jones, I'm always going to go back to Jim Jones, and every time you hear me, you will understand why. When Jim Jones took his congregation to Guyana, why did he take them there? Because people who were in that cult started to find out there were things happening which was not normal. Beatings, the fake healings Jim Jones had. And there were people in on it. You will have people who will hold on and stay with that because they want to look good to their dear leader. Am I still talking about Jim Jones? It's the same shit. You will have people who will be forever faithful because they don't want to do the thinking for themselves. Thinking is just way too much work to think, to critically think, to think and say, if I make this choice, this could happen. If I make that choice, that may happen. Why would we go through all that when you have supreme leader doing the thinking for you? I was listening to this live. I think it was like last night or the night before. You're scrolling through TikTok, you see lives that you've never seen before. I'm seeing a lot more lives come through my timeline that are more MAGA based because Oracle has their hand now in TikTok and they think we want to see stupid shit like that because they believe they can coerce smart thinking people into buying that bullshit. And there was a black guy on there who was arguing with a white guy, and I'm thinking it's going to be the other way around. No, why would I even think that? The black guy who claims he voted for Trump is very happy that he is bankrupting America. Oh, and then here was the funny part. When asked, why would you vote a person who is not an effective business person who has bankrupt so many other businesses? His response was this is funny. His response was, well, he knew that the business was going down, so he pulled himself out before the business went down. Really? Really? That's funny. Because it's called skimming from the top. It's called not paying your workers. And this guy, he's very happy that Donald Trump is bankrupting people because that's what he voted for. Really? Okay. So you're okay with being bankrupt. You're okay with not having money. And in the same breath, when the guy was like, well, why don't you get out of here if that's the way you feel? Then the tables have turned. Well, I'm not from here. Of course, that is your first response. Well, make up your mind, you dumb fuck. Are you from here or not? Did you get to vote or not? If you're not from here and you voted, could it be that you voted illegally? An illegal vote for Donald Trump? I don't know. I'm just guessing from the conversation that I heard on that live. But that conversation alone showed how people are choosing, literally choosing to be stupid, to not critically think, to not understand the laws of probability. People are choosing this. And they expect you to follow suit. Just the same way the Jim Jones cult, when people wanted to leave. And I remember this one video, this lady was fighting with her husband. She did not want to leave. Her husband begging her to go with their child. And guess what? She stayed and the child stayed and the husband escaped. Who has to relive that moment because we all know what happened to her and her baby, their baby. And yet the people who voted for this, they just expect everyone to follow suit. Like we're not supposed to think anymore. We're supposed to accept all of this insanity. We're supposed to accept that we don't know what's going to happen to us here. How well are we protected? Because I sure as hell don't feel protected right now.
Bellingcat had video. It was a Tomahawk missile. It was unequivocally a Tomahawk missile.
A newly released video adding evidence that it was an American missile that most likely struck an Iranian girls' school, killing 168 people. That's according to authorities there. Talk us through those images.
That's right, Sharon. A new missile video has put the spotlight on the United States regarding the recent bombing of a girls' school in Iran. Footage has emerged appearing to show a U.S. Tomahawk missile hitting an Iranian naval base in the clear vicinity of a primary school in the southern Iranian city of Minab. It's a strike that killed over 150 people, most of them girls studying at the school aged between 7 to 12 years old. Now, the video was released by the semi-official Iranian news agency Mehr News. It shows just the seconds, it's filmed from about this area here, and it shows just the seconds before the missile strikes, in fact, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps base in Minab, which is in the direct vicinity of the school. This is on the morning of the 28th of February, the first day of the US-Israel strikes on Iran. Now, let's have a look at the video. I warn you at home that it does move very, very quickly, but we'll do our best to go through it frame by frame and understand it. So we saw very quickly the missile strike there. We see the direct impact and the black smoke emerging from it. The camera then pans to the right and we see more smoke, which we will come into a bit later. I know it moves very quickly, but that missile does strike there and we see the moment of impact before it moves to the right. Now, this video was geolocated by the investigative fact-checking collective Bellingcat. They matched the buildings, the roads, the trees, and all those other visual elements there to satellite imagery in the Minab site. And according to Bellingcat, they determined that the missile did in fact strike at the IRGC compound. If we combine this new video footage with previous satellite imagery analysis, as well as visual images of the aftermath, this new footage indicates that the girls' school was struck in that series of US strikes as it targeted the IRGC compound. Now, munitions experts and analysts say that the missile in question in that video is clearly a US Tomahawk cruise missile, which only the US military is known to possess in its arsenal. Neither Israel or Iran, the other actors in this conflict, are known to have it, Sharon.
And Vedika, that footage, it directly contradicts statements we've heard from Donald Trump when he's been speaking about this school bombing.
That's right. It is a direct contradiction to what Donald Trump and his administration have been saying about the topic. Trump has declared that it is, in fact, Iran who is responsible for the bombing of this school. It's an accusation that Tehran has denounced loudly. It has to be said that Trump has not presented any evidence for his claim. He's just said that, in his opinion, that Iran's munitions are very, quote, inaccurate. Now, he was asked about this again just this week, yesterday on Monday. So let's take a listen to the US president when he was asked about it.
President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
So that's Donald Trump's latest statement on the school bombing and about the Tomahawks. I also have to say that in this same press conference, Trump said that Iran, in fact, possesses Tomahawks, something that arms experts have unanimously rejected. But if we go back to the bombing of the school, I just want to say that UNESCO has condemned the bombing of the school as a grave violation of humanitarian law. And just this week, Human Rights Watch says that it is calling for it to be investigated, in fact, as a war crime.
It didn't take them a week to know this, but they got the targeting wrong. DIA and the geospatial folks got the targeting wrong. They passed it up to CENTCOM. CENTCOM loaded it into whatever AI database they're using or AI system they're using to target this war. Might have been Claude or Maven or whatever they call the government branded version of it. And we sent a Tomahawk missile into a girls' school. Killed about 160 kids. You know, when you end up in a crisis, and every government ends up in a crisis, every Department of Defense, every war is a series of crises concatenated upon one another. And when you do something stupid or wrong or bad, to give yourself credibility and flexibility and breathing room and honor and trust, you tell the truth. You go out and you say, X happened. It was a mistake. We did it. Here's what happened. Here's how we're going to fix it. But we killed 160 some girls. They didn't want to say it. They didn't want to admit it. Now, I got a tip from somebody earlier in the week that if they hadn't admitted it, whistleblowers were going to come out and admit it. And apparently they knew within an hour or two after. That's what I was told by an anonymous source who I vetted and have some. I'm keeping them anonymous. I know who this person is who came out and said, we're going to go people are going to go public if they don't admit this. We knew almost immediately that it was us. There was never a stolen tomahawk. There was never, other people have to. No, it was never the case. And Trump knew it too. Apparently this was passed up to Secretary of Drunkenness Hegseth immediately.
And Iran will be able to do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky, all day long.
Pete Hegseth is stupid. There's no other way to put it. He's standing there in that podium. He thinks he's a fucking badass. He's not. He's a moron is what he is. He doesn't possess any critical thinking skills whatsoever. He's just sitting there, yeah, I'm a badass. Really? Of what, though? Of what? You sit there with these fake Christian people. What was that dude's name? Doug Ellis or Doug Ellison? I forget his name. I did a whole video on it. I'll link that video below. You got that dumb fat fuck talking about that this is a Christian nation. No, we're not. Who the fuck told you that lie? And you think that you can just go around and lie to other people? This country was founded on Christianity when it wasn't. You had people invading this land, and you still have people talking about get off my stolen land, but you're the thief. How are you talking about get off my stolen land when you, colonizer, are the thief who stole the land in the first place? I'm not going to go into the whole tit for tat of who was here first, because that's a whole other argument, probably a whole other video. There's a whole other bullshit going on with this FBA shit that's really starting to piss me the fuck off. I don't know what's going on there. But for me, FBA is causing more discord than anything else. It's not helping. You're sitting there on lives all fucking day long trying to figure out your lineage and who the fuck was here first and acting like you were not slaves and you didn't come from slaves. What the fuck? A disgrace to black people who built this country on their backs. You want to pretend none of that ever happened? As a black person, I cannot understand that. And I don't want to understand that. I made 2 notes on my card here. The news outside of the United States, they're not going to sugarcoat this shit. You heard those 2 ladies? They called him Donald Trump. They didn't even put president in front of his name because they know he's a fucking clown. You sit there and you want to accuse and lie. The man has been lying since he was born. And them Epstein files must be really fucking bad for us to be in this position now. Children, unbeknownst to what's going on, who knows how this country is going to pay the price for this stupidity right now. So they don't have to sugarcoat. They're calling it exactly what it is. The U.S.-Israeli war. That's what it is. The other note that I put on my card, it had me thinking, you ever fill out a job application? In that job application, right? I'm not talking about like your initial application when you're applying for a job. After you get the job and then you have to fill out more paperwork and the bank and all that stuff. There's a disclaimer at the end of that job application. If anyone has noticed, it makes a statement about you cannot go against Israel. Like you can't boycott Israel. You can't do business that goes against Israel. And I always wondered that, like, what does Israel have to do with this job, with anything that I'm doing? the shit that you learned, the shit that we all learn. And nobody puts two and two together. This is the reason why I follow specific people. I listen to specific people. You can't listen to everybody on social media. You have a lot of people who have big followings and they come in, I suspect, conspiracy theory land. There is no time for conspiracy theories. I'm sorry. While conspiracy theories are fun and should be left like in the paranormal world, this is real life. There is no time to conspire conspiracy theory land of what you think. It is about what the fuck are we going to do to get out of this and to get out of it safely. It's just crazy. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. Of course, you have to be a subscriber in order for you to comment. I will not be reading any MAGA comments if you just happen to filter through, because what you have to say, making excuses for everything that's going on, for little girls getting killed, there's no excuse for that. None whatsoever. I'm not on this side of the war. Sorry. I pray that the military stay safe, but they are also getting killed. And I guess nobody thought about that. And as you can see with a lot of cursing that I was doing, it's not a good time. It just really isn't. So with all that being said, this is Maribel Blue signing off. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. You must be a subscriber in order for you to comment. And as always, remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.